Welcome back to the channel. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Nord Piano 6 with the Nord Stage 4. Now, there are some big differences between these two. My goal with this is if you're looking to pick up a Nord and you're trying to figure out which model of Nord fits best for you, I want to highlight the similarities and differences to hopefully help you in your decision-making process and maybe show you a couple of things about these two keyboards. So on the Nord Piano 6, I have the A11 program, which is a white grand piano, and I've thrown just an amount of 3 on the room reverb. This is beautiful. If I don't hold the sustain, you get some of those sample off. They do a really excellent job of capturing just the body of the piano. And then if we hold the sustain pedal, they've built in the resonance into this, and I'll talk a bit about a difference there between the Nord Stage 4. You can hear the body, kind of the resonance, that harmonic dissonance that's happening between the strings. I've got no EQ adjustments and I'm not post-processing this. So what you're hearing is a 7/8 volume coming out of the Nord into my Focusrite audio interface. And that's pretty much it. So I'm not making this sound better in post-production. This is how it sounds plugged into a front of house system or however you're gonna use it. Now, one thing I've found is the higher the level, the better the sample sound. So I record everything at about a 7/8, 3/4 to 7/8 volume when I'm recording these into my DAW. Then I have the same thing on the Nord Stage 4 White Grand. This is the A21 program, maybe different on some of the newer. This is one of the original first batch Nord Stage 4s. And same reverb, so I've got that room. Now this brings me to the first thing that I want to highlight is in the sound sections, there's some similarities as well as some obvious differences. So really quick on the Nord Stage 4, we have the organ section, piano, synth, and the layer effects. On the Piano 6, we have piano, sample synth, and effects. So let's talk about the differences and the similarities there. No organs on the Nord Piano 6. Yes, you could probably use the sample editor, sample some or bring some organ samples in. It's a couple of pipe organs, that's pretty much it. The Nord Piano 6 is not really meant to play organs. If organs are important to you, Nord Stage 4 or the Electro line are gonna be your best bets. Those have full drawbar control over the organs. Let me just play you a little bit of that. So we have drawbar control, full organ modeling there. Now the piano section on the Nord Stage 4 and the piano section on the Nord Piano 6 are very similar. They actually both leverage the exact same piano library from Nord. So if you went on Nord keyboards and you went to the sounds, the piano library there, any of those sounds will work on both of these. When it comes to the piano sections, really the only thing that you get on the Nord Stage 4 that you don't get on the Piano 6 is the ability to turn the string resonance on and off, as well as the soft release on and off. So besides that, they're identical in the functions they serve. So I have the dynamic compression, the unison, all of that is the same between these two. And what that means is, if I am just a pianist and maybe I want some strings, synth sounds, stuff like that, the Nord Piano 6 is perfect because it's geared towards a piano player. Now within the piano section, we have 2 layers on the Piano 6, 2 layers on the Nord Stage 4. So really, functionality-wise, in the piano section, the piano department, they're really similar, if not pretty much the same. Then we move over to the sample synth. So let me come over here, just play you a string sound. We have 2 layers on the piano 6 for the sample synth section. On the Nord Stage 4, we have 3 layers, and it's a true synth engine. So it's the synth engine from the Wave 2. We also have the ability to do samples. So where this has some similarities is the sample section on the Nord Stage 4 is the same samples you can use in the sample synth section on the piano 6. So again, sample-wise, they're the same, but the functionality is drastically different. So on the Nord Stage 4, you have the full true analog synth capabilities, and you can apply those to the samples. So I've got full LFO oscillator, filter, amp envelope, things like that on the Nord Stage 4. Whereas on the piano 6, I have some simple controls. I can do a couple of different types of glide. I can do mono and legato mode for my string. So if I just play this for you. That's in poly mode. I can play more than one note at a time. Same thing on the Nord Stage 4. If I go into mono or legato, one note at a time, and that's where we can leverage the glide. So I can come in here. Can do all of that on the Nord Stage 4 as well. Some little things that the piano 6 can do around tweaking the samples. We can also do the attack, decay, and release. So I could say, let me go back to poly mode on this. And on the attack, that's how quick the sound comes in. Decay is how long it sustains while we're holding it. And then releases how long it takes for that sound to fade out. Also have some dynamic settings that we can use on our samples, as well as unison effects. So we have a few things here. Vibrato, we've got a button. So there's not a pitch and a modulation wheel on the Nord Piano 6. There is on the Nord Stage 4. It's really the only place you get these. On the Nord Piano 6, we have vibrato, so we could turn that on. And let me put that over to here. It's a little hard to hear because the string has kind of that natural vibrato on it. But we have a button here that we can hold down to enable that vibrato, or we can tie that to a pedal. So that's pretty much all we can do. Glide in the vibrato, any sort of modulation of the sound. Compared to the Nord Stage 4, we can tie parameters, all sorts of things to the modulation wheel, as well as the vibrato, and then, of course, the pitch. Got that pitch knuckle or this little pitch stick here. So when it comes to the synth capabilities, the Nord Stage 4 can do quite a bit more. And that's really because it has the Wave 2 synth engine in here, plus the addition of a third layer. So if building synths and sound design is your thing, Nord Stage 4 is going to be catered a little bit more towards that compared to the Nord Piano 6. Now, that being said, you can have some really, nice layered sounds. So let me just pull up this one here. See if there's another one here I can demo for you. Try to find one with all 4 layers active. So being able to leverage those layers together allows you to have some pretty dynamic programs in here. And I find for church use that both of these really work well. The difference being, if you want the organs, Nord Stage 4, if you want some of the more moving synth pads, like the one I developed, let me just flip over to that. So this is leveraging the analog synth engine that's in the Nord Stage 4. I'll take the piano right out of there. It's using sine waves to create a much more dynamic or kind of atmospheric pad sound. You do have some samples in here that you can get kind of close to that, but not quite as heavenly and ethereal sounding as you can on the Nord Stage 4. That being said, I know a lot of people that use the Nord Piano 5 in church, and the 6 is just an upgrade to that. So if you're looking for what's best for church and you don't care about the organs, the Nord Piano 6 really is a good option to kind of get you into the Nord game if you're trying to bring in some of the quality sounds that Nord provides, some of the features that they provide with these keyboards. So with the Nord Piano 6, Nord did bring in a lot of the effects features that the Nord Stage 4 has, which are amazing. So individual effects on each of our 4 layers on the Piano 6, and we have Mod 1, Mod 2, which have a lot of things like chorus, flanger, those types of effects. Then we have the amp effect, equalizer, delay, and reverb. Now, really where these differ is when it comes to the reverb. So the reverb on the Piano 6 is global in the sense that the type of reverb you pick and the settings to that are global across all 4 of your layers, 2 piano layers, 2 sample synth layers. On the Nord Stage 4, you could have 6 different types of reverb applying to your different layers. So it adds to the flexibility there. And sometimes where I'll use that is on my piano, I'll have my grand piano set up with just some stage reverb, light reverb on there. And then I'll have a soft piano with some cloud reverb on there. So again, the difference there. Because I'm using this behind someone talking, I'm not playing as busy, and that cloud reverb almost acts as a pad. A little more difficult to do that on the Nord Piano 6, only because the type of reverb. So if I chose stage reverb, it's going to be stage reverb no matter where I use it. Now, what we can do is we can set independent dry, wet, or the amount of the reverb can be set individually per layer. So you have a bit of flexibility there. It's just on the type of reverb on the Nord Piano 6 is global across the keyboard. Now, that works in a good majority of the cases. So it's just kind of in these little anomalies that I program and design into sounds where I like the flexibility that the Nord Stage 4 has. Now, when it comes to features outside of the sounds and the effects, the Nord Stage 4 does have a little bit more as well. So you have the arpeggiator and the keyboard hold functionality. So if I come in here and just show you what that keyboard hold functionality is, so it allows me to play a sound, have that sound hold, and then it allows me to play, let's say, a piano over that held synth pad and not have to change chords. So if I just come up here and just play, I've got this top split point or zone set to that holding string sound. So I'm going to play the G and the D here, and then I have this assigned to the modulation wheel so I can fade that in and out. And then I'm not holding the sustain pedal or anything like that. And then the sustain pedal's turned on for the piano section though, so I can play piano over this. And it allows me to be kind of creative in my piano playing. So that KB hold, if that's something that's a deal breaker for you, then Nord Stage 4 is going to be the one for you there. Arpeggiator as well, Nord Stage 4 has that. And then coming to things like the morph assign that the Nord Stage 4 has to assign parameters to the modulation wheel, to a volume style expression pedal, or the aftertouch. The only thing that the Piano 6 has is the ability to assign things to a volume style expression pedal. And then some other things that we have here on the Nord Stage 4, we can have 4 split zones. On the Piano 6, we can have 2 split zones. They both do have the crossfade functionality there. So if I come into the split here, turn that on. And then let me just take my synth here and let's put that in the upper. And then the piano, we'll put that in the lower. I'd probably want to do the opposite in a real world setting, but I can set my crossfade. So I don't have a hard cut. So if I turn crossfade completely off, as I come down towards my split point, I have a hard cut there. Whereas if I turn crossfade on, it blends the two zones together. And we can do the same thing on the Nord Stage 4. You just get an additional 3 zones or 2 zones on the Nord Stage 4. So you have 4 versus 2. We have live mode on both of these. The difference is the Nord Stage 4 has 8 live mode slots. Piano 6 has 6 live mode slots. And then we have some other things that we can do on the Nord Stage 4 in terms of building and using our programs that we don't have on the Piano 6, like monitor, section edit, the preset library. All of those are added functionality that the Nord Stage 4 has that just gives you that flagship functionality that the Nord Stage 4 is. So if you're looking to dive into the world of Nord, maybe it's been a dream of yours to own a Nord and you're trying to decide which model works for you, I would say if you're a pianist at heart and you want some strings, some things like that you can fade in and out, you want to do a little bit of sound designing around your piano sounds, but that's your primary focus, then the Nord Piano 6 is going to be a great option for you. If organs are something you're interested in or sound designing from a true analog synth perspective, then the Nord Stage 4 is where you're going to want to swing in terms of that functionality. Especially if you're on stage, you want all of that in terms of layering it together, building complex programs. It's really Nord Stage 4 is where it's at. Or if pitch, stick, and modulation wheel are important to you, you're going to get that on the Nord Stage 4 as well. Now let's talk about key feel because they're very similar, but to me, the Nord Stage 4 feels just slightly lighter. I've always said the Nord Stage 4 feels like a utility keypad. I can play my organs, I can run my hand up and down really easily, even on the weighted, but it's heavy enough that I can get those dynamics on the pianos that I like. I've played 1.5-hour gigs on the Nord Stage 4. I don't get tired like I do on, let's say, the Yamaha YC series. It's got a heavier hammer action. Even some of the Korgs have a heavier action as well. I had an SV1 for years, used that playing live, and I would plug a synth style keybed into that just to play those strings or synth sounds. Whereas on the Nord Stage 4, I feel like I can do everything. The Nord Piano 6, I don't know, maybe it's just in my head. Very similar. I feel like the Nord Stage 4 may be tuned to be slightly lighter, but again, it could just be in my head. They may be exactly the same. They're both triple center keybeds, so it could be my imagination, but if anything, they're really, really close on feel. So as you're starting to compare these and figure out what model is best for you, hopefully this gives you some information to help you make that decision. Input and output wise, more limited on the Piano 6 as you would imagine. Only a left and right out. You don't have the alternate left and rights that you do with the Nord Stage 4. And then pedal input wise, you have the triple pedal, which you can use for a lot of different functions. You have the volume style control pedal, and then you have a regular sustain pedal and a foot switch. You've got a bit more, especially related to the organ, like an organ swell, and then the toggle switch for the slow fast. We have those inputs on the Nord Stage 4. You have MIDI on both of them. Now again, when it comes to the core sounds on these keyboards, they leverage the same library. So the piano library and the sample library are exactly the same libraries on both of these. So it's not like by getting a Piano 6, you're getting sounds that aren't as good as the Nord Stage 4. The sound quality is the same, which is the amazing thing here. Then you can take that off the table, focus on what features are important to you, and then that can drive you towards which one might be right for you. If you have any questions on either of these keyboards, feel free to throw those down in the comments below. On the Nord Stage 4, I have a training course and sound packs on my website, DSoundman.com. So if you have the Nord Stage 4, you're looking to get it, you want to know how to use it, I'll walk you step by step through everything. Again, thanks for watching, stay inspired, and keep making that music.